If you are listening to the new Z Trip album on Hollywood Records, we're here, we're being silly. We got Supernatural, Z Trip. I'm Murs, and I like to have a good time. And on Saturday mornings, I used to like to get a big fat bowl of cereal and watch cartoons, motherfucker. And if you can't relate to this song, you're taking this shit too serious. It's hip hop, man. It's fucking fun.
I love eating cereal when I'm watching my cartoons.
No further information. A podcast for cops, about cops, told by cops, and written by assholes who wear baseball caps everywhere. In meetings, at work, while driving, beating off, washing their dogs, cooking flautas, and appearing during adoption proceedings for a Portuguese teen who had a troubled past but moved to Marlin, Texas, found God, joined the youth ministry, and recently started dating a girl he met at Dairy Queen, but who hasn't yet been told about the girl's ex-boyfriend, a Brazilian mechanic, making fictitious temporary paper license plates in Houston that he sells on Facebook Marketplace for $75 each. Look, if you're bald, you get a pass. That's a big deal for some people. I mean, not me. I need a haircut like every 2 weeks because my hair grows so fast and luscious. It's so thick I don't even need gel. And it's not like a there's something about Mary kind of situation. I just have that long, straight Asian hair that if it grows too long kind of makes me look like an unemployed fishmonger or like I run an illegal gambling house in Grand Prairie. I get that some people look better in hats, but I don't give a shit. The eternal hat wearer is always a douche. The hat, much like the immaculate beards, bracelets, or face tattoos, unless you were in prison, is an affect. It's an adult security blanket, or more appropriately, a blankie. Think about the guy you know who fits into this category. A douchebag, right? And just by his beard, you know that he's really into weird porn. Like, definitely that genre where they sexualize cartoons. You know, Marge Simpson and, Diego from Dora the Explorer teaming up on the Powerpuff Girls. Wait a minute. Am I the creep? This is the season finale. I can't believe we've got 2 of them in the can now. Not counting the bonus episodes. That's 20 uploads, dozens of hours of interviews, and countless jokes I've told that, well, let's face it, are usually hit or miss. I'm really proud of the work we've done, and I think Season 3 is going to be even better. We'll have more guests, a new show format, a lot more music, and some surprises. You know, I don't think I've been surprised nearly enough in my life. Yeah, like, surprise parties. But I think having been a cop for so long, and, constantly being hyper-vigilant usually ruins most attempts at surprises for me. I mean, I get scared when my daughter jumps out from behind the kitchen island to scare me when I get home. That's why there are so many bullet holes in the fridge. But I've never really been surprised. I pull up to the surprise party and I recognize all my friends' license plates. Gee, I wonder who's inside the restaurant waiting for us, huh? What's the difference between scared and surprised, you ask? When I visit a dominatrix, I'm a little scared. When she pulls out a leather whip, I'm nervous. But when she doesn't hit or abuse me, and instead just wants to binge watch Curb Your Enthusiasm instead, I'm surprised. The season finale episode features a person, I've been told, is not that terrible. My wife. I'm calling it a cover elements, keeping in line with the show, but I think it's a special show nonetheless. I've never really had the chance to sit down and ask her these questions. I definitely think the formality of the podcast put her in the hot seat. Don't get me wrong, she did great, but I think it also gave her the freedom to speak freely. And when she answered my questions, it was as if she wasn't speaking to me necessarily. It was like I got to be a fly on the wall to an interview of hers that I controlled. It was kind of refreshing. Plus, I got her to admit that she's probably not a huge fan of mine. Although there was probably already strong evidence of that before the interview. Being married to a cop is difficult. But being married to me while I was a cop is fucking virtually impossible. I couldn't imagine the pain she went through, and my interview barely scratched the surface. She's always been my most ardent supporter, but at the same time, I always felt like I was always letting her down. I still feel that way sometimes. And although she never imposes or demands anything, I still always want to do not just my best, but her best. We also have this weird dynamic where I don't say shit about what's bothering me. I do something that pisses her off. She's rightfully pissed at me. Then I explode and tell her what's really bothering me. Now she has to choose whether she can still be mad at me or give in to this thing that is supposedly worse than getting into an off-duty pursuit of an aggravated robbery suspect with my infant son sleeping in his car seat. Hypothetically. This push and pull happened more than once. That's why she's honestly a saint for putting up with it.
For my dog Monday, you know what really bugged me? What? Cobots was whack. Man, they bit the Transformers. And that's a well-known fact. But after these messages will be right.
A few years ago, I was just a street cop and assigned to the day shift for whatever reason. And a complainant came in to report a missing person. There are all these myths about, the missing person has to be like missing for 48 hours before the cops will do anything. Really, at least the standard in Texas that's set forth by each department locally pretty much seems to be, hey, look, if there's some sort of reasonable suspicion that foul play is afoot or there's some danger to the missing person, if you don't enter them in as a missing person, then just take the report. Now, taking a missing persons report usually requires getting all the information, generating a report, and then putting that person's information into not just the state level, but the national level database. So I enter in Sally Smith, missing out of Left Elbow, Texas. That goes into the state database, into the NCIC database. And if she's encountered by law enforcement either somewhere in Texas or Oklahoma or Wyoming or Michigan, they run her name, once she's identified, they run her name and they say, oh, you're missing out of Texas. A couple things can happen, right? Assuming that the disappearance, for lack of a better word, was voluntary, they can just say, well, Ms. Smith, your family's looking for you back in, Sheboygan, Wisconsin, and they're a little worried about you because they haven't heard from you. She can be like, well, deuces, fuck you, if she's of mental, sound mind and there are no other circumstances. But if it's a situation where, like, let's say the missing person is diminished capacity and for their own good, like the police take custody of that person, they will notify, like, hey, we found this missing person, and then the Left Elbow Police Department, whoever the originating agency is, can then reach out to the family and say, hey, look, the police in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, I'm losing track of my cities, found your missing family member, everything's okay, and ... So those are sort of the mechanics of a missing adult. And it's different, right? If you're, if the person is of diminished, like, the person's of diminished capacity, or you suspect that the person is being held against their will, or if the person is elderly and, obviously, like, not of sound mind necessarily, or suffering from some sort of mental acuity deficiency. So yeah, lots of interesting scenarios where a missing adult person can be entered into the system where you would take a report. The person comes in and it happens to be a sister and a mom. And I say sister, it'll make sense in a second. And I'm not going to give fake names, and I'm obviously not going to use real names because it's going to get real confusing because there's tons of people involved. I'll just refer to the terms generally, and you can kind of piece together the context. So sister and mom come in, and they say, look, sister, I live here in your jurisdiction in town A, and we're really worried about my sister. This is the missing person. And the missing person lives in city B, mom lives in city C. So really kind of my only jurisdictional hook, for lack of a better word, my only real jurisdictional hook is that the reporting person, the sister, lives in city A where I work and I have jurisdiction. Now, look, do you need a jurisdictional hook? If someone comes in and says, I live in a completely different city and my sister is missing and she never ever came anywhere near your city and nothing about this case has anything to do with your city, can you still file a missing persons report? Absolutely, you can. Obviously, per policy, it's generally understood that you'll send that complainant, in my hypothetical, you'll send that complainant to, hey, go to the city you live in and make this report. Kind of shitty, but look, I get it, right? Like, you don't want 500 people walking through your door to report missing persons that have nothing to do with your city. Not to mention, like, the resources investigating and searching for people that, again, has nothing to do with your city. Again, maybe shitty, maybe not. You make the choice. So I do have this sort of, for lack of a better term, jurisdictional hook. I explained this to my boss, and he says, yeah, that's cool. Go ahead and take it. Okay, here's the story. So the missing person in question, her name is Erica. That's the only name I'll use in this entire case. And Erica is a sweet girl who is one of four. She lives on her own in some city far away, and she kind of has a rough and tumble life, right? So for starters, she's stripping. She's dancing at a strip club, and she kind of has like a tumultuous love life. She's young, she's 20, 21. She kind of has a tumultuous love life, boyfriend after boyfriend after boyfriend, and maybe some substance, maybe some alcohol. And she comes from this kind of family of like, I think it was like 3 siblings, right? Like two other girls and a boy. So what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, total 4 kids. And, all the other 3 siblings are like married and they have jobs, like normal jobs, Monday through Friday office jobs, and they have kids and married. And, so they're kind of like this stable family where Erica is just, kind of the, what's the term we always use, right? Oh, black sheep. She's the black sheep of the family. Like, okay, fine. The family, the sister, the mom says, look, here's the really weird part. She saw us whenever this was reported, Tuesday, right? So we last saw her a few days ago on Sunday when she came over for family dinner. And then around 10:30, or I forgot what the time was, she said, hey, deuces, I got to go to essentially work. Okay, well, love you, stay safe. And that's the last time they ever saw her. And, bearing in mind too, right? Find my iPhone or sharing your location is not as prevalent as it is today, right? I hate these people, right? Like the very good friends that like all have each other's locations 24 hours a day. What the fuck is that? That's so weird. Anyway, they don't hear from her for a few days. And then, assuming that I'm speaking to the complainant on Tuesday, the sister says, look, on Monday evening into this morning, Tuesday, she had an encounter with a person you can essentially describe as an ex. He is an ex. They had a romantic relationship. I'm not telling this story chronologically the way she told me. I'm telling you, the audience, chronologically as I'm discovering all this evidence and interviewing people. As Erica worked from Monday night into Tuesday morning, she got very, very heavily intoxicated. At some point, the staff says, look, you got to get down. You can't work anymore. You got to go home. Somehow she drives home and, whatever, intoxicated, right? Early morning Tuesday, she starts kind of texting this ex who is a completely innocent party. He just happens to be an ex. And he's a good guy. He legitimately cares about her welfare. She starts texting him. She says, hey, boyfriend, I want to come over. Bitch, I ain't trying to mess with you. We done. Sorry about your bad luck. Good luck. Well, smash cut to Tuesday, early morning, 6, 7 a.m. Knock, 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 knock. Let me in. Bitch, go on. I don't want anything to do with you. Blah, blah, blah. Eventually, she convinces him to, open the door. Again, he's a nice guy, right? He wants to help. And she says, I legitimately have car trouble. And this car is, this is not the make and model of the car, but it's a Hyundai Elantra. It wasn't that. And I only say it wasn't that because this was a distinct vehicle car. Plus it had a lot of custom mods, heavily tinted windows and new rims and whatever. So I'm using Hyundai Elantra. He allows her to come in and she says, oh my God, thanks for letting me in. Also, I miss you so much. Clearly intoxicated, not well, right? She's, oh my God, I loved you. And then he's saying, look, I hear you. I want to help you get back on the road, but you can't stay here. And I'm sorry, but we're broken up, and I don't really want anything to do with your situation. I'm really sorry. Helps her get the car started, which was fine, And he says, and this is significant, right? He says, look, I can't be messing with you today because at 1:00 this afternoon, I have an immigration, appointment at, whatever, the INS office, some appointment with my lawyer at the INS office to sort out my papers. So, bizounce, please leave. And she does. Fucking, fine, fuck you. Maybe 30 minutes after she departs his house, he gets a weird Facebook message from her. And I'll remember it to this day, but it's a message from her via Facebook Messenger that says, profanity, you never loved me anyway, and then you did this to me. Goodbye. And it's a picture of her lap. And I'll never forget this picture because she's wearing and this will come into play later, but she's wearing these tights. And the tights are, instead of camouflage, like the usual green and green and brown army camouflage, this was a black and white camouflage. So think camouflage pattern, but black and white. So kind of like a cow, I guess, for lack of a better way of describing it. In her lap is a frayed rope. If I had to describe the rope from memory, I do have these pictures still, but if I had to describe this rope from memory, it was fairly thick, right? It's like a braided cord. So it's not, it's not rope that you would use. Oh, you know what? It's not rope that you would use to hang clothes on. It's thicker than that, right? Like a clothesline, if people still do that. But it's pretty thick, And it's sitting in her lap. And she's kind of surrounded by foliage, kind of looks like trees and stuff like that. Again, who's to say, right? She could have been at a park. She could have been in her fucking backyard for all we know. So she makes this very profound, goodbye sort of statement. And he flips, he freaks, right? This ex, he starts calling her, texting her, hey, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? It's okay. Please give me a call. And she doesn't respond. He then reaches out to, another male with whom he is acquainted, who happens to be also one of her exes. He says, Erica's came and saw me. She's not well. She sent me this. Dude, WTF. Now, for whatever fucking reason, other boyfriend says, oh, yeah, she's fine. And boyfriend number one thinks, or ex-boyfriend number one kind of thinks like, well, I guess he talked to her. So he goes on to his appointment, goes in, shuts his phone off or whatever, silences it, has his appointment, and then walks out at, I'm making up the time, 2:30, maybe closer to 3. And when he comes out, he sees all the notifications on his phone. Where's Erica? Where's Erica? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. From this, and, bearing in mind too, small community, I say small community, this is the greater Dallas area. So small in the sense that, okay, you guys can dig this, right? You may be from a big city, but like your kind of local circle group, everyone kind of knows each other, right? So like your auntie knows someone's mom, and everyone knows to go to this lady for the flowers, and you all went to high school, and some people still work, so close community, as close as you can be in, the greater Dallas area. All right, anyway. So, they're all reaching. He's like, what the fuck? So he eventually reaches out to not only boyfriend that, ex number 2 that he originally reached out to, but he also reaches out to sister. And now everybody's kind of freaking out. When I get this investigation, I want to know, who all these players are, right? So interview ex-boyfriend number 1. He says, yeah, like I felt badly, but there's nothing I could do. And, he couldn't, right? Well, then I interview ex-boyfriend number 2. I'm like, hey, why did you tell ex-boyfriend number 1 that like, oh, she's okay? Did you talk to Erica? And the fucking guy goes, no, I didn't talk to her, but I kind of know Erica and like her kind of attention-seeking behavior, and I didn't want ex-boyfriend number 1 to worry about, like, what the fuck are you doing? why would you lead him to that conclusion? And again, I have the benefit of hindsight, right? Where I'm like pissed off that like, why didn't you? But still, like, okay, she's an attention seeker, and we all have these attention seeker people in our lives, right? But, you know, that's not a normal picture to have received. So, you know, take some affirmative action to like at least reach out to her, and then tell ex-boyfriend number one, hey, I couldn't reach out to her either. But anyway, he kind of makes this assumption, allays the fears of ex-boyfriend number one, who, you know, goes off and does his thing, and then ex-boyfriend number two does nothing. All right, so you're fucking useless. And now as I'm investigating this case and interviewing these people, and bearing in mind too that like no one knows anyone's last names or real names, right? And I'm not trying to be crude or racist, but like it's a lot of nicknames, you know, it's like, you know, I'm trying to be as general as possible, but like this is Rusty, this is Slim, this is, you know, we call his real name is William, but we call him Bob. Like, why the fuck do you call him that? All right, so you know, it's a lot of like, I don't know his last name, I don't know his phone number, I only know him through Facebook Messenger, So all this time I'm like trying to investigate people and run them through, you know, like data clearing houses like Accurate or TLO, I don't remember which one I was using back then, and then running people through TCIC to find their phone numbers. And in Texas, at least for law enforcement, when you pull up a driver license record, you can get like, you know, emergency contact information. So a lot of, you know, investigation. Well, in the midst of all this investigation, and bearing in mind, this is now entering the late afternoon. I'm fucking up the times, but this is entering kind of late afternoon, almost night. Well, at some point, someone tweets or texts or Facebooks or something, some social media / messenger, text, WhatsApp, you know, I don't know, says, hey, we found Erica's Hyundai Elantra in the vicinity of, you know, where she was last seen or whatever. Basically, this little community, this little neighborhood. And it's worth mentioning that the car was found in Dallas, in the city of Dallas proper. This is just another testament to how great and supportive the city of Dallas Police Department has always been to not just me, but, you know, my agencies, and anytime, you know, they can help a sister agency out. So I head out there, and sure enough, I see this Hyundai Elantra. It's like, okay, here's the interesting part, right? It's kind of like parked in when I say ditch, I don't mean ditch like a, you know, where water runs, just kind of like on the side of the road, but it's not paved. It's not we call it an improved shoulder here in Texas, but it's just like gravel. And so it's parked. You wouldn't necessarily say illegally, but it's certainly not proper. And I noticed that the window is smashed out. At least two of the windows are smashed out. And it's important to make the distinction, not that it matters, but that the glass, some of the glass is on the floor, the ground. When you're outside, it's called the ground. Some of the glass is on the ground, some of it's inside the car. And all I'm saying is, so see if you can stay with me on this, right? And there are two reasons. This is the first reason. And the first reason is, if I want to smash and grab a car, right? I throw a brick, I use some implement, bang, break the glass, reach in, grab whatever I need, and I leave. Or reach in, unlock the door, grab whatever I need and leave. You know, I'm not going to go in the car unless I'm stealing the car. But when you have glass inside and out, that kind of has the earmarks of, I broke the glass and then I kind of like gutted the glass. I'm making a circular motion with my arm. Pretend I have like some implement, like a crowbar or a bat. And I'm kind of gutting the car to pull out the glass, you know, either to cause damage or in a fit of rage or panic, or, you know, so just a little tidbit, right? Now, the second thing about this glass being on the ground that's significant is I have a complainant who says to me, oh yeah, I saw that car this morning on the way to work. And again, I'm fucking up the times. I don't remember what time he saw it. And then when I came home for whatever chore or task or lunch, I saw that it had a you're parked illegally like sticker on the window. You know, like, have you ever fucking fucked up and parked somewhere where you're not supposed to be, and then the city comes and slaps that fucking sticker that you can't get off? It's like, I don't know what fucking glue they use, like the blood, the tears of a fucking unicorn, but you know, you just can't get that sticker off. So he says, yeah, I saw that sticker there. But then I look down and there are like no remnants of the sticker among the shards of glass. Like, huh, that's strange. Like did the burglar like take off the sticker before he broke the glass? I run the plate on the car, and there's nothing in the car that ties it to Erica, right? I run the plate on the car, it actually comes back to a male's name. Who the fuck? Like, is this even her car? That's when someone tells me, oh, that's ex-boyfriend number 3. Okay. And yes, that's a car that he essentially got for her or whatever. She pays him, but, you know, his name is still on it. Sure enough, I get in touch with this guy. Super cooperative, super nice. Yes, I dated Erica and it was like a really short, I remember it being a really short amount of time for him to fucking buy her a car. But it was like 6 months or 5 months. It didn't work well. She cheated on me, whatever, but, you know, we're kind of still friends and I don't want anything bad to happen to her. Where were you last night? Where were you this morning? He had good alibis. Okay, cool. And at this point, my spidey senses are going off. Remember, where did we see that picture, right? Well, guess where this fucking car is? Ladies and gentlemen, you would not believe, and maybe Texas residents can kind of understand, especially Dallas residents, right? We can be surrounded by all this kind of brutalism, concrete structures and sidewalks and parks and huge buildings, but then drive, you know, less than 2 miles down this road, and it's just endless fields, woods, grass, tall fields, you know, especially in like the southwest Dallas or the north central Dallas area, where it's like there are, I mean, I'm saying figurative, but literal forests, right? Where you can get lost, for lack of a better word. Well, that's where this fucking car is. It's parked kind of like on a side street, and if you go farther down, you're going to run into like these kind of foresty areas. Train running through the, you know, the what the fuck does it stand for? I don't know what it stands for. BNSF. I'll remember what BNSF stands for one day. Train runs through kind of the southern parts of Dallas. So it's kind of like, all right, my spidey senses are going up. Dallas responds, DPD responds, and they're super helpful. They run a dog, they run a bird, and they look around like, sorry, we didn't see anything. And at this point, my investigation into this case effectively grinds to a halt. Now, I'm, again, fuzzy on the timeline. I didn't read my report before recording this. I still haven't. So, you know, the days are off, but let's just call it 8 days. 8 days. More than a week. In this time, I've gotten a few leads. The family's still worried. I'm checking in on them. And they are organizing search parties. We're going to go out and look for Erica in this location and that location. And, you know, sometimes the sister would text me or email me or call me and say, hey, you know, if you can join us, that'd be great. No pressure. And, you know, if some of your officers can come. And, you know, I'm ashamed to admit that I never did. At this time in Texas, it was one of these weird, maybe fall, or maybe even spring, where, you know, it's blazing hot in the day, but it's cold at night, you know, drops into the 50s and high 40s. And this particular evening, this what happened on a Tuesday, right? So Wednesday or Thursday. Actually, it might have been a Thursday. I'm teaching a class, and I'm ending it. All right, guys, you know, like, thanks for the opportunity. You know, if you have any questions, give me a call. These are cadets, students, you know, never been cops before. So, you know, and I'm finishing up and my phone rings. And it's from a Dallas police officer in my, so my department, you know, abutted a Dallas division, a channel, a patrol division. You know, Dallas is separated into these 7 patrol divisions. Right. And so, you know, you exchange contacts with a lot of people in the area. And it's, you know, Joe Thompson, Bob Thompson. I don't know. I'm running out of fake names. Yeah, that's my fear in this podcast. Like, I'm trying to keep anonymity, and I try to use all these fake names, but one day I'm going to fucking, you know, accidentally say the person's real name. So, you know, this officer calls me and he said, hey, man, like, I'm sorry to bother you. Are you working this case in Department A, in your department? Yeah. Because did this missing come out of your, because they don't know who she is right at that moment. And did this missing come out of your agency? Yeah, I did. Well, unfortunately, we found her. She's here in the woods and she's hanging. Okay. Thanks. Give me a major intersection and a block, or a block number, and I'll be there. I had to make the call to my wife and explain to her what happened in that I would be going to the scene. I don't remember the particular reason why she wasn't terribly happy. Now, it could be because I had spent a lot of time recently working and teaching. I think I was new into teaching at this point, right? So I was soaking up all the teaching gigs that I could. Work smarter, not harder, folks. The teaching gigs didn't pay as much as some of the off duties, but I also wasn't chasing shoplifters off the interstate from the fucking Walmart, or arresting the publicly intoxicated person roaming the parking lot who puked all over me. So I was teaching a lot. I was trying to soak it up and make money the easy way. So it's fair to say that she was probably upset with me for kind of the whole, like neglecting your fucking family, and I at the time kind of did this thing that I always do, which is, I'm really sorry, but I have to go, and almost like not giving her the license to be angry at me. Like, sorry. Okay, I'll talk to you later. And of course, what is she going to do? No, bitch, come home. I get the very curt, shorthanded, okay, all right, just be careful. Love you. I remember the drive from the academy to that location. Not terribly far. And I remember being told to park here, walk here, and then I was guided down these train tracks. Now, this is significant. The walk down the fucking train tracks, and I guess I have bad history with train tracks, was easily, 500 feet. I mean, it was very, very far. You get to a point in the train tracks, and then you just abruptly make a left into the thick brush. And I say brush, I'm talking, 25, 30, 40 foot trees. Dense foliage. And, there's a path, and there are other officers now. Now, this is the funny part. One of my former guests, Sergeant Alan Villarreal, you may have heard him on a previous show. He was the on-scene sergeant, and we had crossed paths, but we didn't really know each other. And I was, whenever I teach, I wear a suit. I wear, like a three-piece, the blazer, the pants, the tie, and I had my shield out and, a gun. And, I joke about it all the time, right? But it really was a thing where I walked past the police line, do not cross tape. Someone lifted it for me. And I walked in, and Alan saw me, and he's like, oh, are you with Capers or with Homicide? And I'm like, no, I'm with Department A. I'm the officer who was working this case. Oh, okay. Let me set the scene for you. This is a very, very high tree. And there are not a ton of branches I could effectively recall as being sufficient to climb up with ease. I guess what I'm trying to say is, it wasn't the type of tree that you could easily climb from the branches. You got to kind of get up there, put your foot in a particular place and stretch and to get up. And there is Erica hanging from what appeared to be anywhere between 30 and 35 feet above the ground from a tree branch by her neck, shoeless. And to this day, I'll never forget two things. I'll never forget her eyes, which were protruding, and those pants, that black and white camouflage, those black and white camouflage tights, the cow pattern. And I looked at her shoes, and the left shoe was far in I'm making this up, in a 45-degree angle from her body that way. The right shoe was flung off her foot in a 45-degree angle the other way. We found it on the ground. And then I remember this, her purse, I guess, either she set it down or it fell out of her hand, but it was caught on a branch kind of like below her, but still on the tree, if you can imagine, right? And she wasn't swinging or anything like in the movies or anything like that. And I just remember the state of her face. I mean, beautiful, beautiful, young, pretty, beautiful girl. Someone's daughter, someone's sister. And just lying there, hanging there, lifeless. I didn't even see signs of decomposition necessarily. There was no odor. And maybe because we were outside. I say no odor. If you've been to enough dead bodies, there's the 3-day smell, there's the 8-hour smell, the 3-day smell, and then the fucking, 2-month smell. So this was definitely, a 3-day smell, but I didn't observe any signs of decomposition or petechiae or, it was very strange to me, the whole thing, that this little tiny, she was tiny. I think she was 5 foot something, 1 or 2 or something, very thin, young, just the idea that this little girl climbed this fucking tree in the middle of nowhere and hung herself just was really odd to me, Part of my praise for the Dallas Police Department, not only in their investigation of her death and treating her and the family with love and care and respect, but when Dallas got wind of my investigation, I was contacted by a detective. The detective, I take that back, he wasn't a detective at the time. He was just assigned to a special unit in Dallas. It's called deployment. But anyway, he was, as it so happened, small world, right? What did Bob say one time? He said, how, that's how I know we're living in the Matrix, This deployment officer lived next door to the den mother for the club that Erica danced at. So here we go, right? Take this full circle. Erica starts not showing up at work. Work finds out that she is missing. The den mother gets information about the disappearance and tells her neighbor, who happens to be a cop. Cop finds out where the report originates from, reaches out to me and says, bro, you'll never believe this. So basically the den mother supplies the cop, the deployment cop, with all this information that the particular establishment is engaged in human trafficking and sex trafficking and gambling and drug sales and all this awful, awful, terrible stuff. And they're referring to, for those who don't know, the Attorney General of the state has an Office of Independent Counsel, obviously, right, the Attorney General, and they have an Office of Investigations, the OIC. And the OIC is staffed with cops, and they conduct investigations on behalf of the state because the state can bring action against, parties and so on and so forth. Anyway, so it's getting referred up to the OIC, the AG's OIC, and lots of this is all happening contemporaneous with, my investigation. Cut to finding out that Erica is dead. The walk back from the scene through the crowds of people, I discovered that it was the family that found her, not the police, on one of their search parties. And it so happened that the person who found her was her uncle. So the brother of the mom, remember, mom and sister came in to report. So this is the brother of the mom, and he's just upset. And I walk down the train tracks, go down the hill. And I know this is going to sound weird. There are stairs, concrete stairs, because remember, this is an old abandoned railroad, right? Like an elevated railroad. So like presumably these are stairs to go up to like walk across the railroad, through safe passage or, conduct maintenance on the bridge, whatever, it doesn't matter. And walking down the steps, down, and then back onto the ground level, the street level, where all the patrol units are and the families' cars and stuff, and the families and the friends and stuff. And just seeing mom and sister just kind of standing in front of me. And, what do you do, right? I just held them and they held me, and then I held mom, then first mom, then sister. I'm so sorry I couldn't do more. And no, you did everything. Just the fucking bullshit, stupid shit I fucking said. And then the, nice things that these poor people have to say to me, right? Just because I'm the fucking retard cop who fucking whatever took the fucking report. And, man, I didn't fucking, oh my God, that was awful. still sticks with me to this day. I'll never ever forget that little girl's name. And you know, it's why does one death stick out to you more than the others? Who the fuck knows, right? I remember coming home, and it was one of those things where you know you're in trouble, right? So you might as well double down, right? Like, I'm not coming to bed. Instead, I'm going to watch fucking TV and eat some cereal. And, you know, it's tense. And eventually we have the fucking come to Jesus meeting in the living room. And it's, listen, motherfucker, I'm not mad at you, but what the fuck? And blah, blah, blah. And you know what? You don't fucking understand. So just this back and forth jibber jabbing. And, you know, really her argument isn't like, look, I'm not mad at you for doing your job, but I'm mad at you for doing your job. And again, this is all in her defense. And then me saying, rabble, rabble, like, you know, you don't understand this, the life you chose, you know, or rather the life that chose me, you know, whatever stupid thing I was saying. And I didn't cry. I want to qualify that. But I said, do you know who this was? And I, you know, I feel bad, right? Because, like, did I tell her that I was investigating? I don't even know if she knew, you know? Like, it's not fair to her, right? She doesn't know what I'm working on this case. And even to use the term working on this case implies that I fucking did anything at all. I didn't do anything. I didn't help find this little girl. I didn't help the family. I didn't help anybody. I just wrote stuff down in a fucking digital report. And I finally told her, kind of gave her the details on what I saw. And again, I'll try to keep it not as graphic for you, the audience, but I described to my wife Erica's eyes, this beautiful little girl, and I described to her her eyes and the condition of her eyes in her head, you know, just barely recognizable, right, except for those fucking pants. And I told her, I said, the memory of those eyes will live with me until the day I die. And, you know, she took a pause, right? And, you know, she was mad, but not really. I don't know if she was mad at me. I think she was just mad that, like, God damn it, that fucking sucks. I'm sorry you had to see that. I'm still fucking mad at you, but I'm mad that I can't be mad. And I'm also mad that you're sad. Like, I feel for you as your spouse and someone who loves you. And I'm also mad because the medical examiner eventually ruled it a suicide. I'm not a fucking doctor. I don't know that I felt comfortable with that, but hey, there's absolutely fuck all I could do, right? I'm just some dumb street cop. So, you know, we're mad. And, you know, we kind of just hit like a soft reset. Because remember, right, I told you things were tense at that point. I'd been working a lot and came to a mutual understanding that, boy, does this job fucking suck. But in the true spirit of misery loves company, you know, I'm glad that I don't have to do it alone. Yes, she's not on the fucking street with me or in the patrol car with me, but having that support at home really helps. And we came to an understanding. I was always of the opinion that we let that a beautiful little girl down. You know, maybe if she'd had more publicity, you know, there were like fucking 3 articles in Spanish on her, you know, no press coverage, you know, anywhere else. Maybe if more people talked about her, or if fewer people maybe didn't write her off as, you know, just some dancer, some stripper, we could have saved her. Maybe if I'd done a better job, right? In fact, I know if I had done a better job, you know, I could have found her sooner. Or maybe I should have participated in more of the search parties, or corralled more resources, or, you know, just did more, right? And again, dozens and dozens of dead bodies and suicides, but this one really stood out to me. I just feel like we failed her. Erica's story changed my perspective in a significant way in how I view people. There's almost always a story behind every person. And it was my job as a cop, as a citizen and now a fake podcaster, to tell these stories, especially when people like Erica can't. It may sound stupid, but every business decision I make is with my family and legacy in mind to some degree. I know that between seasons 6 and 7, I'll inevitably slip on the bathroom floor, coming out of the shower, split my head open on the edge of the tub. They'll end up finding my body naked and wrinkled, wearing a Teletubbies shower cap, with my freshly shaved legs because I'm a classy metrosexual. My hope is that won't be my family's lasting impression of me, but rather they can listen back to the words I've said, the lessons I've tried to espouse, my jokes and the relationships I've had with my friends and guests and the stories of my job, and hopefully they'll think that their old man wasn't a half bad of a guy. Most importantly, I want to make sure that I live up to my wife's standards. Through our toughest times, she's always told me just take it one step at a time, one foot in front of the other. And you'll hear about how she's only ever wanted what's best for me, as long as I'm happy, even to her own detriment. Of course, that tune changes when she brings home the leftover sushi and I eat it that same night. That's why we had to institute a 24-hour policy on leftovers. The clock starts after the check is paid, and if no one else lays claim to the food after that time, it's up for grabs. Got me fucking setting timers and shit. Siri, set an alarm for 3:37 a.m. I continue to learn from her every day. Not just about life, our family, or even her, but amazingly, about me. She showed me I could be a loving, caring person, while never losing sight of the cold, soulless, dead, shark-eye monster of a man I've strived to become. She made me realize I was capable of a lot more than just being some dumb fucking street cop. No matter what stupid endeavor I've ever signed up for, like starting a podcast, she stood firmly underneath me, holding that ladder, shouting up at me, "Be careful." And after so many events in my life, just like the investigation into Erica's death, she was always there to make absolutely goddamn sure I had a shoulder to lean on and an extended hand to grab onto so I could get my fucking ass up and get the hell back to work. I've suspected for a while that she's stopped listening to the podcast. Instagram is really where her passions lie. So the hope is that in 10 years after I'm gone, and she's remarried a slim, muscular, better-looking guy who wears Western attire, owns 3 offices where he sells commercial realty insurance, a motorcycle, a Ford F-350, and a Jaguar, and always responds with, "Yes, ma'am," whenever she asks him if he wants to have sex. She can always listen back on this episode and know that I owe so much to her, but I've still tons more to give. The strongest woman I know, a patient, sweet, and endearing mom for our kids, and the person who knows me better than I know myself, which is saying a lot because me and my right hand were pretty fucking tight. She claims she's 5'5" and a half, when we all know she's really 5'4". But every square millimeter of her is fearless, unwavering, and only ever focused on making the lives of those around her better. She lights up a room when she walks in, and even though she drives me so fucking insane sometimes that I want to enact an executive order to have her deported back to fucking Canada, I couldn't possibly imagine a single fraction of a second of my life without her. I'm pleased to introduce to you the First Lady of Podcasting, Mrs. Bob, in this season finale cover elements. Behind every good man is a good woman. And behind that good woman is another man. Because that's how this one DVD I was watching one time started. I never made it to the end of that particular video. Because my wife walked in and my back faces the fucking office door. There isn't a single cop out here who can say they've done it completely alone. We've all needed a hand up at some point in the field. After the tour ends, we need some backup at home. This episode is dedicated to all the men and women behind the cops. I ask my guests about the trials and tribulations of being partners to working cops, how the job has affected them and their families, and seek to answer the eternal question, do these BDUs make me look fat? I hope you'll love my wife as much as I do. In your case, you're not contractually obligated to say that. But even without the threat of a lawsuit, I think she's the perfect bookend for this season because she'll always be the first thing I see when I open my eyes, and I always want her to be the last thing I see when I close them. Enjoy my interview with the lovely Mrs. Bob, and catch up with us in Season 3, which will all be in Chinese.
Can I do it without talking to you?
Huh.
I mean, can I do it without looking at you?
Sure. I'll try not to make eye contact. All right. This is a portion of the show where we talk about the people behind the cops. So we call it cover elements. And the premise of the segment is such that no cop does it alone. No one does it alone, really. Of course, my audience will be thrilled to know that you're finally on the show because all I do is talk shit about you. From your perspective, we met a long time ago when I was a cop and you had no inclination that, you'd ever be with me. We didn't meet in a romantic context. Can you tell me, did you ever think you'd be with a cop? What was your attitude towards police then? Or, if I told your 18-year-old self, oh, one day you'll get married to, what did you have any thoughts here or there?
No, I think before you, I didn't have any opinion either way.
Did you have any interactions with the police?
No.
No. Oh, no?
Mm-mm.
Never?
No tickets, no nothing.
Well, you grew up in a small town, and you're the daughter of immigrants, so you come and you start digging into basically big city life. From my perspective, it really seemed like maybe you were, for lack of a better, you can correct me, but a little bit repressed as a kid and then kind of got to do your own thing once you became an adult. Is that fair?
Yeah, no, totally fair. I mean, we grew up very Christian and church-like, and it wasn't probably until I went off to college and came back that I kind of got to do my own thing and see stuff.
Then when we met in a office environment, and fair to say that you weren't a huge fan of mine.
I was not.
Okay. And cutting out the, how did you meet BS, we had, dated, then not dated, then stayed friends, and kind of setting up the two things, kind of your foray into my law enforcement career and just what a good person you are. At the time we met, I was looking for a job. I was a cop, but I was still looking for a job. And you were with me when I got the job offer, famously in the basement of this building and standing there smoking. There was Becky, who was present too, for some reason.
She also knew.
Who had no idea,
for you.
know what the fuck was going on. But you were so supportive, and, it meant that I would be leaving our mutual workplace, and you were always so supportive. But then, it was, kind of your introduction into this guy that I know is ultimately going to be a cop. After I leave, I'm working the streets, and I happen to meet you while I'm on duty, and you're getting off work. So we come to some taco place, and as you're shoving tacos into your mouth furiously, I told you that look, I've always loved you. You've always been there for me, and you've always been my most ardent fan. I think the theme that carries into a lot of police relationships is from your perspective, right? Just be there for the person.
Yes.
Oh, okay. This is going to make for a great pod. No, but if you don't,
the tacos were really good.
Okay. You don't always have the answer to what's bothering the person, but just be there. Just listen. Just be a rock. I found that, as we got married, had kids, had a house, from my perspective, I don't know. You tell me which happened. Was this a chicken or the egg situation? I stopped talking to you about the job as much and what happened to me on a day-to-day basis, and you stopped asking. And then it became this vicious cycle where it's like, how was your day? That's fine. What was that from your perspective, if you felt that at all?
I don't think I did until, way further and it came up in a fight or something and you no longer care, something to that effect. I don't think I ever, said, he doesn't tell me stuff anymore. I think we get busy and, life happens, but I don't think I ever noticed it or maybe, paid as much attention as you did about it. But I think maybe going back to what you were saying in the beginning, I think it all comes down to, you may not always know what to say, what to do, how to react, what not to, say. But I think when you care about someone, you just do your best and you just try. And I think that to some extent is enough to show that person that, look, I may not be the best person to talk about it, or I may not know what to say, but I love you enough to, always be here and just make you feel that when you do come home, this is your safe place.
I had a lot of obstacles to overcome. First, having a kid, being married, being with someone, at home, whatever it was, 19 hours out of the day. I'm exaggerating the number. Because, I did that I switched from being a single guy walking around the house in my underpants. One of the things I had to learn, and you pointed this out, right? You said, stop fucking talking to me like I'm either A, your employee, or B, somebody on the street. Well, that would happen when we were fighting, right? And I would almost like start interrogating you. From my perspective, I didn't do it intentionally. I was just always in that frame of mind. I tried to get better about it. Have you noticed it changing or having changed after I got off the job?
No, I don't, but I mean, it still happens when we fight. That's okay. But I mean, it's not okay, but it's something you're working on.
It's recorded. You said it's okay.
No, I think maybe going back to, our beginnings and when we first started to fight and when I felt like that, I think, not that you didn't know you were doing it and I didn't say anything. I think you, like you said, you just kind of were always in that mindset. And I think until it became, you're doing that and you're, not taking into consideration what you're saying and how it makes me feel, that it became that much worse.
Your words to me were, I'm not the enemy.
Yeah, or like, I'm not out to get you. And I think it took a long time for you to stop feeling that way for whatever reason, but I think it took a lot of years for you to finally bring your guard down, even from me. And I think, not that, things were perfect then, but I think because of that, they just became that much better.
Not only that, but also, I had this thing where, it was like a series of like failed relationships, and maybe, I don't obviously feel this way now, but in the beginning,
it's okay.
It was, it's still all up in the air. I'm unsure of this, now. Oh, do you realize that this is 10-year marriage, right? This year? Right. No, but I think in the beginning I thought like, well, this is just going to be another failure, right? This is just going to be another like, well, we tried and we, but so I think maybe there was a little bit of that, like, this is expendable. Mm-hmm. But I did come from like a pattern. Look, I'm not saying I was like some, poor beleaguered, abused male, right? And like all these like abusive relationships with these terrible women. No. On the contrary, I kind of feel bad for all the people that have been with me. But
no, you were a dick.
Right. But I did feel like and a little bit today, right? Like, nobody cares. Shut up and do your job. Why say anything? Because the person, And I think over time, it's only taken 14 years, but I think over time, it's been there is somebody who cares. There is somebody who's doing, it's somebody's doing this thing for you, wants nothing in return other than just for your happiness and well-being. To me, I'm like, what? There's gotta fucking be some ulterior motive. That took a long, I can't even blame that on the street. Like, oh, I'm such a hardened street cop. I think it's life, but also now, like after the street, coming home and having to deal with you or your partner for the listener, for the listener, it's like, no, this is not the enemy.
I think until you realize that, it caused a lot of conflict between us, because I think it was years of you constantly feeling like there was a reason why I did what I did or I said what I said, and it was always, a checkers game. It was always,
Chess.
Sure.
Okay.
Either one. Twister.
Yeah, it was a game
Monopoly.
of Twister.
Yeah.
Maybe Twister is more apt.
I think it took a long time for you to put your guard down and for you to just let me love you. When I used to tell you that.
I had this thing where in the beginning of our relationship, it was, did you make it to work? Like,
yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I'm here. Well, why? Like, because moron. Like, somebody cares about you, wants to know if you're fucking dead. That was new for me. And I always say I'm doing an imitation of a human in today's society. I'm like, this is how you people should be. Head pat.
But, you're a lot better about that now. And I think maybe, because of the kids or for whatever reason, I feel like you now understand how important that is.
Yeah. I think the kids definitely helped. And then the stressors of the job, setting the street aside for just a second, comes with a lot of administrative challenges. So first, just as a street cop, pressures from administration and investigation, hey, I done fucked up and, now they're investigating me. And then towards the end of my career, the stressors of being in charge, being the boss, having to manage all these personalities. What impact did that have on you when I'd come home with this baggage? Admittedly, I didn't always share it, but, what do you do?
I think before, I think back when you were at those long nights and
Street cop, overnight shifts.
Fights with, and,
Yeah.
all kinds of people. I think for whatever reason then, and maybe, you get used to it after years, but I would worry so much more than maybe when you moved on to different departments for whatever reason. And I don't even think it was from I don't know, that you can take care of yourself or that you're gonna be safe or not be safe. I think there's just so much crazy out there that you never know.
How much of your concerns were laid in the street versus stress from administration? Was it 50-50? Was it, I guess we never talked about it that much, but like there were some, and we'll talk later about like your ride-alongs, but we didn't really, or I felt like we didn't, or maybe I didn't talk about it, about like the danger that I'm exposed to, but I
don't think we ever did. I think you just kind of expected that, I knew that you would be okay, and I think I did, but that didn't stop me from feeling,
Did you worried
about you.
I guess I don't want to sound naive. I don't know if you, and I don't mean it to be mean, I don't know if you ever worried about my safety.
Oh, I worried a lot, and I think a lot of it was because you almost didn't, not that you didn't want me to, but you didn't expect me to, that if and when I did, it was always,
I'll be fine.
I don't know. Yeah, or it was like, well, this is part of the job, or this is what, he's supposed to be exposed to, and you knew this, and therefore you should be okay with it.
You're saying I conveyed that?
No. I'm saying maybe just in general, or the, what people expect. Well, you knew that, right? Well, what did you think was going to happen when he was on the job? And
this is you telling yourself that.
Correct.
And are you kind of insulating yourself, like, if he does get shot, if he does die? Like, are you telling yourself that to cushion that blow?
No, I think for a long time it didn't seem like it was possible. And then,
that could
maybe
never,
after...
that could never happen to me or
Correct.
to us. Right?
Correct. But then, the few times that I did ride out and, saw what you saw and how, very quickly things can change. I think it only made it worse, I think, at that point.
Let's get into that. So the couple times that you did, for anybody that doesn't know, obviously you can go on a ride along with a cop and stuff, and my department, either unwisely or wisely, allowed you to ride along with me. I think if I were the boss, as a general rule, I wouldn't let a relative ride out with, or certainly not a spouse, because God forbid, right? But this wasn't the most professional department. To my mind, one significant event was when you came to, like, we were going to eat, and
we had tacos in the car,
right? And I was in a pursuit. I can fill in the,
which we never ate, by the way.
I can fill in the details of the case in a minute, but do you remember, or can you tell me what you remember from that time?
I just remember going fast. No, I mean, I think you almost don't want to remember. I think you...
Why was it so traumatic? For me, it was like another day. Would you categorize that event as traumatic? And I'll tell my audience what happened in a second, but
I don't know about categorizing it like that, but I think at that point we had kids, mm-hmm. and I think...
if I'm not mistaken, I believe you were pregnant.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Or maybe we had both. Maybe. I don't remember.
One of us should remember.
One of us should remember. So from your perspective.
I think we already had.
Okay. All right. So what do you remember from that night?
Again, I think it was very, casual. We went and got food, and a call came, and either we went to it or we were stopped, and then the call came in.
If I tell you the details, this might help you
mm-hmm.
remember. But this particular taco place is, if you can picture north-south, this is further south, and we're coming back north to eat at the station. And as we're waiting at the light facing north, the defendant comes driving south and kind of like drives around traffic and then blows the light in front of us to the degree such that, like, I have to do something about this. Technically, I didn't have to, especially when my wife is in the car with tacos. And so I flip a bitch and I go after him. And when it seems like he's going to stop, he doesn't. And he takes off going east on this road. And now I'm in chase. And
I almost feel like that's the part that I remember.
Yeah.
Just the chase and going fast. And I knew that you couldn't slow down because you were trying to catch them. But I also felt very unsafe and regretted my decision to come
bring tacos
right along.
Yeah,
and the tacos that were ruined by this chase.
And then the defendant hits this intersection. I'm going to try to describe it as best as possible. But this isn't a straight through intersection. It's kind of like, if you go straight, you kind of have to like bear right a little bit because it's offset. It's almost like a Z. And you have to, he misjudged that. So when he went straight through, not knowing that intersection, he hits the curb and goes airborne, flies over a family that just got home, smash, lands on the ground, dung, dung, dung. The car rolls over. He takes off on foot. The family is screaming, I think I just killed a kid or something like that because of my actions. Now I'm like chicken without a head. I have a suspect on the ground. He's running. Give me a helicopter. Give me additional backup. And I think I just killed a family. Come to find out, the family had just gotten home and they did that thing where they're like, oh, this police department, you're so unsafe because you chased this guy. Like, well, fuck was I supposed to know he's going to go airborne? They had they arrived a moment sooner, they would have been crushed by this car because they had stopped on the front lawn to chat. So had he come sooner, they would have been hit. Anyway, as it turns out, this vehicle was actually a robbery victim's vehicle. And the defendant that was in the car was one of the robbers. This was one of these like kind of Craigslist, eBay, let's meet up and exchange this thing, right? So 3 suspects in Dallas meet up with this guy to, oh, it's a PlayStation, I'm selling it. Come over to my granny's house. And then when he comes over to granny's house, oh, there's something wrong with the front door. Come on to the back. Pretends the key doesn't work. 2 other guys come out with a shotgun, beat the victim, take all his possessions, take his shoes, take his keys and the car. So in the car, the defendant that ran left an ID, and Dallas was able to take it, get the guy in custody, and solve that case. So it was kind of good, you know. Your face. Like,
well, I think
good for who? Yeah.
I
so
think
those were the details of the case.
Yeah, I was mad at you about it.
Can you explain? You had every right to be. Can you tell me why? Would you rather I have just let him go?
Yeah.
Do you understand why I couldn't?
I do understand. I think I understood then. I think I was just still mad about it, and you know, then maybe mad at myself for even putting myself in that position. And
in your defense, I could have said the risk to a third person, you, was far too great. I have to let him go. Call in the description as best as you can. Let the neighboring jurisdiction, we were in Dallas, let them take over. I could have done that. Not in my nature.
I was just gonna say you wouldn't have. That's just not who you are. And
but that's to your detriment, right? You were endangered. I endangered other people. It ruined the night.
It definitely ruined the night.
And you know, now we have this story. All right, take it easy. And now we have this story that, like, you know, so like I all of this is to say, to this day, I still feel badly. I believe, if I'm not
I forgive you.
Yeah, thank you. You know, so from your perspective, right? Like you're angry at a lot of things. It's difficult to process, and there are a lot.
Well, I'm also relieved that you're okay, and that that you didn't kill somebody, and that you know you wouldn't get in trouble, and now I'm here, and now I need to leave because of the situation.
As much of a curmudgeon as my supervisor was at the time, you said his name, but I'm going to have to redact it. But as much of a curmudgeon as he was at the time, he showed up and he said, "You, my wife, put you in this other officer's car and get her the fuck out of here before DPD comes and has to do the crash report." Because because this is a crash. So you like, here, bitch, here's your fucking tacos, get the fuck out of here, you know, whatever. I can only imagine from your perspective, right? Like, what the fuck just happened? And now you're back in your car driving home, you know,
to our kids. And
yeah, you know, and
I can't be mad, but I am. I'm relieved you're okay, but I'm also mad. I'm also, I think, in shock and still mad. And I think,
like now, like right now,
not so much now.
No,
but
okay.
Yeah, there's been a lot of tacos since then. No, I think it kind of overtakes, or the relieved part overtakes the I'm angry at you because I love you and I care about you. I don't want anything to happen to you. So it's almost justified, you could say.
Yeah, like
because it's part of the job, and I know that. It's
competing interests, competing feelings keep making more noise. That's super good for podcasts. And just fucking rearranging all the furniture in the house, you know, in the studio.
I need to be comfortable.
Yeah, what she's doing for my audience is she's propping up her legs, like dipping in for a cozy, you know, episode.
I do need a blanket.
Grey's Anatomy. Yeah, a cup of tea.
Yes.
That you hold the mug with 2 hands.
2 hands.
Yeah, and for some reason, a long sweater.
Yeah.
Where there are loops that you can put your thumbs in.
80 degrees outside.
Yeah. No. I get it, and for as difficult as that, because I thought my career was over when I heard the screaming of the family, and I was just so relieved when they were okay. But from your perspective, like, that's tough, right? Because you have all these competing feelings.
No.
How often in our marriage your marriage to a cop, especially me, did you feel that way? Like, where you had to, like, set aside your, famously, my audience doesn't know this story, but we were going to see actually Book of Mormon, the play, the South Park creators, and I was super late for it because I had a very complicated traffic stop the morning of, basically, and I would processing evidence up until, so I'm working a 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. shift. I get this thing at 5 a.m. Turns out to be a DWI with drugs and a stolen gun, blah, 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 blah. I'm packaging evidence. I haven't come home. I show up. The play was like at 1. I show up looking like shit, right? Because I have no change of clothes. I'm wearing like police uniform pants and a fucking, flannel shirt. We watch the show, and then I'm like, hey, thanks for the good time. I have to head back and package evidence. I distinctly remember I can hear the tires of your car peeling out. So things like that, right? Like, so you're totally justified in being mad. I'm justified in being annoyed by the fact that you're mad, but you understand and I understand, and it just kind of has this almost like net zero cancellation. Now, how often did you feel that? And if you remember that story, but
I remember the story because I think my exact words to you were, "Why didn't you tell me? I hate that you didn't even prepare me almost for the." In my mind, we're gonna go get dinner, or you're gonna make up for it, by filling the blank,
you have said
gesture.
You have said to me before that almost like, if you at least tell me,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's bad, I can at least expect it, right?
Mm-hmm. Or I can deal with it, or, bear with, if you want to call it. But I think away from that story, because it still makes me angry.
All right.
All these years later. No, I think for the most part, it was the conflicting feelings was either, and I think I eventually, we got to a good place where you would like my text. But I think a lot of it was, I just wanted to make sure you were okay. I understand you're on the job and you're working and you may not always be able to text me back, but if I just know you're alive, that helps.
Yeah, I think jokingly said that that's why you got me the watch, because I could, just quickly thumbs up. And, sometimes, and other guests have said this, where they're like, hey, can't talk right now. I love you. A lot going on. What is that from your perspective? Like, well, he's alive, but what the fuck is going on?
And I don't think it was even, what the fuck? I think it was, just let me know you're okay.
Right.
Because to me, I can recall, over and over, it's the morning and I've not heard from you, whether it's, hey, I got a lot going on, or I'm going to be late, or I can't take the kids, to, are you dead? Did something happen? Should I turn on the news?
Mm-hmm.
Is it another, shooting?
While you're trying to get the kids ready and
Correct.
Do hair and clothes.
And bows. Do you remember how many bows we had?
She fell out of that shit pretty fast.
But I think those are the times that I remember the most with the conflicting feelings, because eventually, you were always okay. And it was a lot of, well, this happened and that happened, and then I don't know, maybe subconsciously that's when I stopped asking you about it, because I resented you for it.
I hear that.
Because that was the reason why you, whatever, I wouldn't even say like made me angry, but that part of you was what always made me worried.
So dig this, like, you haven't heard from me. You don't know if I'm dead or alive. Then when I finally tell you, I went through all these things. I've robbed you of the license of being mad at me.
Correct, because now you've witnessed filling the blank, and I'm just pissed because now I have to, take both kids and get to work, and, the coffee maker's broken. I can't be mad.
And
not even a little bit.
That's not fair to you. Or, I'm saying, like,
no,
from your, from your perspective. And, it, in many ways, it's almost like, I don't know, maybe not this way. I can't think of a different way to say it, but like, I know you're mad and it's okay that you're mad. I don't know. Maybe that would have helped, or maybe you'd still be mad,
No, I think eventually you would say just that. I know you're mad and I'm sorry that you're mad. But even then, or I think you saying that only made me
you
madder.
angry.
Yeah, that
I think I could have, and in that hypothetical, which happened more times than we can count, I could have done better to let you know at 4 when I was driving to the jail, when I was in the hospital. Not me, the hospital, but
yeah,
you know, that I'm probably going to be late. But what am I doing? I'm caught up in
yeah,
the 17.
and that's cool because now I can wake up earlier or not do my hair.
You would never have, and you never have been mad at me for doing my job.
No,
But
I don't.
But it's the fucking telebitch.
Yeah, and again, I felt like it was. I wouldn't say it was hard, but
You can.
it
say
took
that.
a lot of. Well, no, it took a lot of work for you to get on the job here after what happened, and you wanted it so bad. And yeah, maybe because I was there since the beginning and I knew everything that you had been through, that it was almost like I had no right to be mad about it. But I think it definitely came between us. I think inevitably it changed or molded our relationship throughout the years.
Yeah, it's like not fair, right? Like the relationship had to work around
Mm-hmm,
the job.
mm-hmm.
Whereas if I had been a fucking plumber, that might not have been such an issue. And I think you're like me in the, like, do you have any regrets? Like, I don't have a fucking single regret because, our experiences made us the way we are.
I don't.
All of that being said, it was a colossal fucking pain in the vagina. And, we did go through the gamut, of tough times.
No, I remember coming up to our 5 years that I think that's when.
What happened?
Things were bad.
Yeah, so.
Were we going to make it?
Yeah. No, and I'm, quasi joking, but 5 years was COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, right, and the job and I'm back on nights. And, you're trying to have a career and I have these long drives, so I don't see you. And sometimes I wouldn't see you for 2 days, because of the nature of my night shift, get off late, whatever bullshit, and I would not have blamed you if you had left or just been like, I can't fucking do this anymore.
And I don't even think it was the job itself that I was mad about. I think because I saw how much it took out of you. Not even, yes, of course, physically, but emotionally.
Yeah, but how does that impact you negatively? I asked naively.
I mean, I think even when you're home, you're not really home.
Yeah.
I think even when you're, there, you're thinking about
the job,
filling the blank.
Work,
yeah. Arrest or suspect or case. And that's fine. But sometimes I just needed you to be there.
If a couple is in that situation, in that exact scenario, what do we tell the cop and what do we tell the spouse? Like, how do we make this better? Is there a way to make it better? Is it just a part of the job?
I think you almost have to know it's coming, acknowledge it's here, this is what's happening, and know it will get better.
Right. So I can't fix it right now, but kind of like what you were saying, right? Like, I know it's coming. And then
it's gonna happen inevitably, but I think it's the same thing with any other, I wouldn't say overnight jobs, but there's other.
If I were a surgeon, if like on call, right? If and you'd be also much happier and richer.
Probably.
Yeah.
More tacos.
If any other, like you said, overnight profession or on call, taxing, demanding, versus 8 to 5 mail carrier or working. I'm the insurance agent down in the shopping mall. So yeah, the job, this job is invariably going to have some sort of impact on the relationship. Did you? I had a guest come in who got on the job later in life, in his like early 30s. He got on the job later in life, and it was almost like a bargaining tool with his wife, who said, "Okay, fine, go do this fucking job, whatever." I asked him, just kind of out of nowhere, I said, "Do you think your wife is proud of you, or your family is proud of you?" And he kind of was like, "Yeah, I think she's proud of me," you know. And I'm not saying that you don't tell me this often, and I'm not saying that you're not my biggest fan, because you are all of these things and you do all these things. But for a long time in my career, I didn't know that anything I was doing had any impact, not only on the public, because it's just one suspect, DWI, domestic batterer, rapist, burglar after the other. But I also didn't know if it had any impact on you, like, oh, he's cleaning the streets and he's like, so I'm proud. And I say that I'm struggling to express to you that I felt that way, because I don't want to diminish the fact that you were so supportive. I didn't know if you were ever, air quotes, proud of me getting bad guy A, or helping Mrs. C, or finding defendant F and solving the case. Also, you know, it's their cases, right? How much do you know? And how casually we had this like suspect, versus the cases that consumed my life, and I just can't get this guy to crack. And, you know, what is your attitude on like, oh, the net impact, the net effect that I had as a cop on either you or society?
I don't think it was ever justified because I was proud of you, but I think I accepted it because of how much I cared about you and how much it affected you and how much you got out of it. And I saw that. And if you were happy doing this job, then I was happy for you, because, again, even when we were just friends, at the end of the day...
Are we not friends?
You know, less tacos.
Yeah.
At the end of the day...
You act like the only fucking thing you eat is tacos.
That's true. I mean, I could eat some tacos
I've
now.
introduced you to a lot of Asian shit that you normally
I know, but I
wouldn't
saw
have.
this new taco joint we should try.
Okay. Right.
See, now I lost my train of thought.
No, you know, I don't know that my coming home and telling you, hey, I got another DWI. He consent. I got him to consent, and it was over 15, so it's a class A, right? I don't know. Are you like, good job, nice job? What the fuck do I care?
I think it's also hard to not necessarily understand it, but I'll give you an example when I felt, quote, the proudest of you. And I think it was one of the first times that I could feel how uncomfortable you were. Was at the Mad Awards. Do you remember that?
Yes.
You were so uncomfortable. So...
I hated it.
I remember. But I think I couldn't have felt prouder of you. Or the, Christmas parties at, what was it, Applebee's or Steakhouse?
Some white place. Yeah.
You know, and you would win fill in the blank award. You know, we all thought it was rigged. But you also got a gun. And I don't think it was so much the award. I think it was the part that then I could put it into perspective and I could
visualize.
Yeah, I could see how much it almost like amounted to, if that makes sense.
Because coming home and telling you that it's a class A, not just a class B, okay, but maybe
sure, but you forgot the milk on your way home
or whatever. And you were late again, or you didn't tell me you were going to be late, and I'm pissed. Yeah, I get that, right? Like almost like a proof. Like, I'm not just outside selling ass,
Which that would have been fine if you weren't late.
As long as if I had been late. And I don't mean to diminish anything that you do / did for me. and this is a major eye roll. I don't ever feel proud of anything I do. The number of times I've felt proud in doing something have been, I can count on one, if two, maybe if not one hand. And I also don't think it's, you could say you're proud of me until you're blue in the face. And I don't ever, so I don't know if it's like a cop thing, if it's a self-esteem thing. I don't ever feel like anything I do makes you or my family proud. Maybe I'll see the after effects in 30 years.
I don't think it's a cop thing, because I think even now you don't feel like that about yourself and you're not on the job anymore.
Yeah. Like I like doing this show, right? It connects me to my friends and other cops, and I can talk about things. I'm still teaching, so I have a foot in kind of that arena.
Mm-hmm.
You can fucking catch me dead if I'm ever in a patrol car stuck at 3 a.m.
It's gonna happen, though. It will.
Okay, which is gonna bring me to my next topic. But there's like, of course, right? But look, really, there is always going to be that glowing ember in my chest of like, I do fucking miss the job.
I know you do.
And not for nothing, but, and I know this sounds arrogant, I thought I was a pretty fucking decent cop. But I've also learned that like you can do other great things, and the wonderful experiences I've been able to have with my family and you since leaving the job that there's no fucking way I could have been, family vacations and trips. So that is all worth it to me. I don't know.
But see, I don't think it has to be one or the other. I think you can have both. I mean, maybe if you're not you, but.
Okay. Well, removing that dig aside, no, I can't see. Okay. So dig this. I can't see having the family life that you want and being a good cop. You can mail it in. You can be the 8 to 5 cop who writes 3 summonses a year, but you can't do both. And I'm not saying I was some fucking superb investigator who arrested, but like I put a lot of sweat equity into my cases as a patrolman. I was never a detective. I was a patrolman for the bulk of my career. But it was even off duty, right? Calling witnesses and tracking leads down and driving by this place.
But I think you see that, and I think that is worth so much more than fill in the blank, whatever vacation or
No, my family is what, because my family's the job's always going to be there. Well, I mean,
yeah, but we're still going to love you,
and
no matter what.
And I think going back to resentment, it is like I didn't want you to resent me. I'm using air quotes, okay, because of the job, unquote, to the point where I had lost your whatever love / respect. So I never saw it. Okay, here's what I'm trying to say. I always saw the job as expendable and our relationship, marriage, family as non-expendable. And I never saw it as, oh, the two can coexist because this job causes so much strife in the family.
I think for us, at least, it took a long time for us to get to a good place. But I think once we did, and we learned to communicate better and effectively, and you like my text, which literally is all I was asking for.
Yeah, you told me that.
And I think once we got past the hard years, they did coexist. I mean, stuff happens, and you weren't at fill in the blank agency. But I think for a while there, they coexisted, and then, yes, now you're dealing with administrative headaches. But I also always felt like you were the best person for the job at the given situation because of everything that you had been through, and what it felt like. Well, but you know what it felt like to have fill in the blank people. And you always said you were never going to be that type of, boss. And you weren't.
Yeah, I mean, I've never. I always use this example. I've never made a tart. I think I can go to my grave saying that. I've never made a tart, but give me the instructions. I'll make you the fucking best damn.
Chilaquiles. That's a good example.
I've fucking made that. All right.
Well, I know, but I mean, they're not the best. But I think if
okay,
you
well,
know,
to whom
wrote
are you
down,
comparing me? My grandmother?
You know, if you
Yeah, but you know, I'm.
you will always try
Yeah.
your hardest, and you give it all you give, whether it is in
Best practices.
chilaquiles. Yeah.
Best practices, imitating the standard, yours, you know, your chilaquiles, you know, whatever it is. So I don't know any other way, which inevitably leads to strife and time away from the family and, you know, unliked and unresponded to texts because I'm giving 97.3% into this realm right now. We have, I jokingly said, well, I say jokingly, but there was a quasi serious discussion with a friend who was toying with the idea of bringing me back on the job. The joke goes that we were talking about something unrelated. He was consulting me about DWIs and his officers, and hey, you know, like, I don't know, you know, well, this question, this legal question, what if? And boy, Bob, you know, it's too bad you out the game because, you know, it'd be cool, you know, if you know, like came back on and, you know, got to work with me like over here at the, you know, left elbow because, and I jokingly said to him, look, I'm fucking done being a cop. I'm never going to get in a patrol car ever again and make fucking traffic stops and write summonses. Maybe if there were some magical position where I could only do investigations and file cases with the district attorney, admin only basically, and, you know, but there's no way. Yeah, we can do that. So, cut to a conversation with you where I said, sit down, please. And that's when you refuse to sit down. But I said,
what if?
You know, hear me out. I told you this happened. And then I told you, I kind of didn't let you speak, but I said, if I'm you, like, are you fucking kidding me? You were done. I'm done with this 15 years of bullshit. Like, are you fucking, and now you want to fucking, and you had a completely different reaction.
Do you want to tell it or should I?
That's why I stopped talking.
I think it's always been, I want you to be happy.
Yeah, but not at your expense. Not at the expense of our family.
But
is what I'm saying.
like I said, I don't think it has to be one or the other. I think you just have to find a way to, you know, be able to do both without killing yourself. I think for a long time that was the problem.
Yeah, right.
Because you couldn't just, for lack of better words, turn it off.
Yeah.
And it was to your detriment, and it was killing you. And see,
I never saw it. I never posited myself as the victim. And if I could step in here, whenever you say, I don't think they have to be mutually exclusive, or I'm paraphrasing. Yeah. I think, or at least what I'm getting, I on the surface, I completely disagree with you. I'm like, no, one has to give. You can either be a good cop or be a good family man, but you can't be both. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, maybe what you're saying is like, look, if you can do the job passionately, but temper it with don't fucking kill yourself, don't, mm-hmm. then the two can coexist. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that.
You're like an addict though.
Yeah, right. No, mm-hmm, that's a good way mm-hmm. to describe it, right?
Yeah,
like you can't. I can't
just do cocaine. You want to do cocaine and heroin together?
Well, that seems like a very. What I was gonna say is like your former alcoholic.
Oh, yeah.
You can't just have the sip of wine at
mm-hmm,
dinner.
mm-hmm.
You have got to get that fucking away from me.
Shit
In
face,
fact,
yeah.
I need to leave the room.
Yeah,
I cannot be around that. That's me. That's my perspective. And so when I had this conversation with you, you were very supportive. You said the things that you just said on air. And I said, not only is it fair you may not get this movie reference. It's a Godfather reference, but it's like just when
So
I
then
thought
why say it?
for my audience, you're not the only. This isn't for you, but like just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. Kind of like from your perspective, like Jesus, we were fucking done with this bullshit. Like, come on. And I was trying to advocate heavily. I even told you, I said, this probably isn't going to make me much money. If anything, I'm going to spend money chasing investigations and driving, right? And, you just had this like very benevolent response that to this day makes me so angry. But, which is like, I don't know, as, here's what I'm getting from you is, you seem almost like, well, you're helping people. And this is the job you were meant to do, and
You are doing that, but I see how much it gives back to you.
And my response to that is, yeah, but so much gas money. I'm trying to like really pull away from I'm with a flowing cape behind me. Oh, I'm the truly doing it for the people, and I want to push myself into your shoes, and I almost like want you to talk me out of my own bullshit. But no, really, truly, I'm trying to be fair and look at it from your perspective. So I guess the summary.
But I don't feel like that, though.
I guess the summary is, what the fuck is wrong with you?
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
No, again, back to when we were just friends. I want you to be happy, whatever that means. If you told me you wanted to go be a stripper, I may not be as supportive, but if it makes you happy, I'll help you, sign up for classes to...
Are there classes?
There's pole dance classes.
Okay. No, I mean, I think that's a hyperbolic example. If the shoe were on the other foot, maybe not pole dancing, if the shoe were on the other foot, I would feel the same. But
what if I came to you?
Right, but I can't. I'm unfair to myself because I can't. I'm saying like, well, I'm not going to do that to you, and I think that's my problem. I'm pointing at myself, which is like I'll do that for you, but I can't. I don't expect you to do that for me, and
I think maybe even now you don't have enough self-esteem to think that someone could care for you that much.
That's weird, right?
Yeah, it is. Kind of fucked up.
You don't have to agree.
Care about you genuinely and just want you to be happy.
I believe that you just want me to be happy, and I believe you care about me. I know you do, but I'll never let you do that to the detriment of you or anyone else, especially our kids.
And I don't see it like that because I think our kids are older and they understand, and not that they're necessarily used to it, but they're old enough to understand the importance of not only doing the right thing, helping others, putting other people before ourselves. And I think that's the best thing we can teach them.
And there's value in that, right?
Yeah.
There's added value in that. I just don't look, my audience can only imagine what it's like living with me and being my partner. I fucking know better than anybody else. I have to be with me 24 hours a day, 360.
It's a hard job.
Fuck yeah. Imagine, So I get that. And, my thing is, I only want to make your life happier as we progress, because where did we start from? Nobody's, friends, kids, an apartment, a rental house, an even bigger house, nicer cars, more bows. So I don't ever want to backslide. That's my responsibility as your partner, is to help further the advance of I want to make you happy. And I know there are a lot of things I do that don't make you happy. So to that end, right? Like
as long as you acknowledge them.
Believe I know what a piece of shit I am. People obviously can't see you, but I always tell this story, right? You're tired of this anecdote, but I'll have a picture of you guys on my laptop or, something like my phone, right? And people will see this face and then they'll go, that's your wife? Oh, I know what that means all the time. I mean, that means like, what do you have on this bitch? Like, is it papers? Is it cash? Did she murder someone in your family? Because it's so like, but so my thing is just, I want to, give you every fucking, the bang for every fucking dollar you've put into this, because you've given so much. You've given me my beautiful children. You've given me a home. You've done so much for me. You've supported me. And I'm just like, bleep, blorp, I want to sign up for another job. Like, fuck that. So I try really hard to be considerate of that. I think buttoning this kind of segment up, because it's just going to be me talking shit about myself, which I think you're getting a little joy out of. But no, buttoning this up, which is to say, I think it helps that, let's say hypothetically speaking, I did this. I'm not. But let's say hypothetically speaking, I got back on the job. I think it might help you anyway that I'm saying these things out loud and I'm hearing you, right? Like, I acknowledge that this will have an impact on you, and versus the oblivious 10 years ago, like, why do I have to text you when I get here? Like, I'm here. So, right, like, is there hearing you out?
Yeah, I think it comes down to just communication.
Which is kind of the as we draw to a close, which is really, right, like, talk to me about the survivability of a police marriage. I get that most cops aren't me, and I mean that in a bad way. Like, I'm a fucking freak. But, talk to me about the survivability of a police marriage, especially in an intense police marriage. Absolutely fucking not even step one. This is the goddamn cover of the book. This is the outer jacket. Communication. One could make the argument that I don't communicate like other people, for good and for bad. Sometimes I over communicate.
It's not always been your strong.
Yeah.
But you've gotten better. And I think the more you communicate, the better it will get. And again, I think you almost just have to be prepared and know it's going to happen. And know it's going to suck. And know there's going to be hard times, and there's going to be fights, and there's going to be letdowns. But I think when you can turn and see your partner being fulfilled, it's all worth it. Yeah, it's easy to like walk away. It's easy to, cheat. It's easy to just say, I'm done. And yes, but whatever, stay together because of the kids or financially.
Okay, but devil's advocate, I'm going to argue back with you, right? Well, what about you, spouse of the cop? What about what you want? What about what you do? Is the only thing you're getting out of it like, oh, look, he's happy? I don't think that's fair.
No, I don't think, and I don't think I ever felt that way. And I think now that you're not on the job and we've moved past that phase of our lives, I think you're able to,
that I contemplated pulling you back into.
give back now. You're able to, support me blindly in whatever endeavor, I would like to pursue. And I think, I think you're not doing it because, she did it for me, so now I have to do it for her.
That's not how I'm cutting you off. I just want to throw this in real quick. I should get 0 points for supporting you now, because you did do it for me for so long, and B, it's what I owe you. And I don't mean like it's a scorecard. I just mean like I'm look at it this way. I know I just said it's not a scorecard. I'm so fucking far in the red.
You are.
That I'm okay. Don't fucking agree with me. No, but I've taken so much from you that I don't get any credit, or I shouldn't.
The best 10 years of my life.
Sure. If I'm saying these things, don't fucking dig in. That like I shouldn't get any credit for supporting you. I should like it's the fucking very, very least I can do. That's how I see it.
But and I don't. I think when you are with someone and you've been through good times, bad times, seasons, and you make it through, everything else after that almost just becomes something we can do together. And I've said that to you, as long as we have each other, as long as we do it together, we can get through it.
I do want to clarify something about you talking shit. You said, communication and that you've gotten better at it, you've worked on it. I just want to clarify. I fancy myself a pretty good communicator.
But not when it comes to your feelings.
Right. That's what I want. Like yeah. I'm this guy.
You will tell me all the things I'm doing wrong.
Yeah.
But you won't tell me how you feel.
But who gives this is me playing along, okay? Who gives a fuck how I feel? Right. And that's what needs to change, I think. Or that's what needed to change and did change.
It did.
And so what I was going to say is, with respect to being a good / effective communicator, I'm the guy who can come into a fucking mess where everyone's arguing, blah, 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 or there are people running around with their chickens running around with their heads cut off. I'm the guy who can run in and organize the data to conduct an investigation or quell the disagreement or insert other police scenario. I'm not the guy who at least initially could come to you and say, it's not you right now. You didn't do anything wrong. I'm fucked up. And this thing happened. And I don't even mean traumatic, like, I saw a dead body. But whatever it is. And I'm up in my head. When I did that with you, I found it did a few things. It gave you some insight into why is he pissed off, or why does he have that face. It immediately alleviated any tension, either potential or ongoing, between us. And third, it was the drip in the drip in the conversation that allowed us to start talking about what was wrong. Ultimately, when we say communication, it's not cop communication on a traffic stop, because that's what police hammer, right? Is learn how to effectively communicate to de-escalate or resolve a situation. On the home front, it at least for me, it
made the world's difference. The fact that you could tell me it's not necessarily you or the kids or.
You said you were wondering, like, I don't know what's bothering you.
Well, yeah, like, did I do something? Did I not make enough tacos?
You know what?
What was it?
I do have a complaint, actually.
About tacos?
You don't make tacos. You made taquitos or you made enchiladas. You didn't make tacos. You made some meat and gave us the fucking tortillas.
And you learned to make your own tacos.
Well,
our son makes his own tacos.
But you were supposed
every chance he gets.
Out of every fucking thing. Yeah, but like
the hot dog.
There's an earlier episode we were talking about, cooking, warming up bread, and we were making fun of my partner heating up a donut, and he, our son is the one who eats tortillas cold right out of the bag. Yeah,
makes his own tacos.
It boils down to not just the police communication, like we say, but communicating effectively with your partner and kind of letting them know that.
You also have to want to. I mean, we can communicate all day long and we can try, but.
And that took some work from us, too.
Yeah. If you've lost the desire to be with someone, I don't think no amount of communication or any amount of, trying is going to fix said problem.
So in some of our fights, you would ask me, or I might even have asked you, like, do you want to keep doing this? I can tell you just from my recollection that, like, even in the hardest, worst fights we had, like, and I did verbalize this to you. I said, I do, but here's a 30-minute litany of complaints about all the terrible, awful things that you did. But I did say that, like, no matter what happens, like our fights and stuff, like, I'm sorry, bitch, but like this, I'm going to be with you until the day we both die. Probably me first.
Probably.
Right. And, okay. And, like, I'm not getting rid of you and you're not getting rid of me. So no matter what, like,
Figure it out. Yeah.
You know, so that's the platform after my 30-minute litany of complaints about you.
Mm-hmm. And not making enough tacos.
Let's get down to business, right? Like, how do we fix this? If communication is the front page of keeping a police relationship alive, I gotta think that the second rung, or the part B, is for me anyway, compromise. And knowing that, like you said, right, like, I'm not a fucking suspect. Stop interrogating me like a suspect or an employee. I had to really change that too.
No, I don't think it was so much compromise for you as much as it was
I had to compromise. Yeah.
Taking a step back and just realizing that or even other people, even your family, they weren't, not inviting you or not calling you because of filling the blank reason.
I always felt that. I think I still feel some of that to this day.
I know. But
nobody
I don't
cares
think
about me. Nobody gives a fuck about me.
But I think you've gotten better about it. And I think the more you let yourself be loved, the less you'll feel like that. And I think a part of you is always going to feel that way, no matter like how much time goes by. But I think if you even just take a step back and look at where you were, from that basement.
Yeah.
With Becky. Yeah. Who we'll never see again. To where you are now. I think it definitely shows how far you've come.
All right. Well, then this begs the question, like, on air, you can tell my audience, like, how long are you sticking around to see how the rest of this shit plays out? Because
only until season 3.
Only until season 3. That's a good answer. Okay.
You'll have to come back.
Yeah, right. They're gonna find out. Like, welcome to season 3 premiere. As I record from my 1-bedroom apartment. Mm-hmm. Now that
has a basement.
Now that Mrs. Bob has left, I only have a 4G connection on the upload speed. Yeah. But for the longest time, I kept telling you I'd like to record your episode and come on here, and I think I accuse you of like, avoidance behavior. You don't really want to do it, but. I think recording you in this kind of clinical environment does give me pause and realize like just how much you've done for me and what you mean to me. And I'm saying it on the air, how much I love you. Yeah, how much I love you, and how I wouldn't be half the person I am without you.
And all the tacos.
Now you say something nice. It's fine. You don't have to say anything. All right.
Portions of the day's programming are reproduced by means of electrical transcriptions or tape recordings.
Thanks again for another amazing season. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Leave a comment, give us a review, or send us an email at podcast@nfipodcast.com to let us know what you think. Follow us on socials, visit our website, nfipodcast.com, and subscribe to our Patreon for just $1 monthly and get behind the scenes and bonus content plus early access to episodes before your mom does. We know she can't afford a Patreon subscription. Once we finally get paid, we'll be able to start giving everyone health insurance. Producer Bob is dying to get that gender reassignment surgery. Again, from the bottom of our hearts, thanks for all your support, and we'll see you out there. In the meantime, vest up, watch your speed, stay safe, and remember, do your job.
I would listen to it all night long, just to hear my favorite song.
You'd have to wait, but you could hear it on the AM.